Hello, it's Kate from Inkstampshare.ink. I've got an Eclipse card to show you today. Now, I've seen quite a few of these made recently, seen them around on Pinterest and YouTube, so I had a go. I had a big team training event on Sunday and we all got into groups and made swaps for each of our groups, and this was my swap, so I made a whole pile of these before I went, and I was really pleased with how they came out because they look like they're quite a complicated thing to do, but actually they're relatively simple and they look really effective, and I was really pleased. So yeah, there's a lot of them around. There's a lot of Christmas ones, a lot of the sunflower stamps being used. The stamp set that I used for my one is called Garden in Bloom, and it's this stamp set. And I used a little bee image on it from the Dragonfly Dreams because I love this little bee. Yeah, those are the set that I've used. So I'll show you how I've made mine. I'll just pop these ones out of the way. Okay, so I have my card base in Whisper White, and it's a piece of A4 card, and I have cut it in half at 14.8 centimetres, and then I've scored it at 10.5 to make my landscape card base. My layer on top is half a centimetre smaller all the way around, and that makes it 10 centimetres by 14.3, and my top layer another half a centimetre smaller, which is 9.5 by 13.8. All those measurements will be on my blog Inkstampshare.ink, so you can always pop over there and have a look, and get some more inspiration too. So we're starting off with our Whisper White layer, and it's a two-step stamp. So I've got my little stamp already there on the block. It's a photopolymer stamp set. I'm just going to ink it up now. I'm using Calypso Coral, which is the same colour as my layer on my card, to coordinate with that. And I'm just going to stamp my flowers. And I'm only going to stamp 4 of those, I think. I'll show you a tip with these stamps as well. They're a two-step stamp, they layer up, and Stampin' Up have very handily given us a little extra piece of photopolymer right there. It's like a little arrow at the top, so you can line them up. And the next layer also has the little, I've got a bit of fluff on there, also has the little photopolymer like kind of extra piece, like a little arrow on the top. And I've put mine at the top, and I know it's the top because I've labelled my acrylic block with my initials because I take them out and about everywhere. So yeah, so that's the way to match them up. Okay. So I'll carry on doing that. That being said, with this stamp set, it's a watercolour kind of effect, and it doesn't really matter too much if they're not completely matched up. In fact, I don't think they're meant to be exactly accurate anyway, and they give a lovely effect. Right, so I'm doing my outline in Calypso Coral, and I'm just going to do 4 stamps like that. I'll pop that one out of the way, and then my inside I did in Powder Pink. I really love this new colour this year. It's really subtle. I really love it. I don't know where these fibres have come from on my stamp. There we go. Yeah, and just stamp over the top, line it up, and off you go. Really don't worry too much about it, because that's the effect that you're trying to get. And it's much more fun not to be worried about it. Ooh. Here we go. Trying not to get my head in the shot too much. And then this one at the corner, like that. And I'm going to do my leaves now. Now, top tip, I've stamped a couple of the flowers out on some extra scrap card, and I've cut them out, fussy cut them. I haven't been completely accurate, just enough to make a little mask so that I can stamp my leaves off the sides and they don't stamp over the top of my flowers. So I have got my Pear Pizzazz ink, and I've got my leaves mounted up, and I've mounted mine on a long block just to make it easy for me. It's just how I like to do it. Right, okay, so I'm going to cover this one up to start with my little mat. You can put a little piece of non-permanent sort of sticky on there so that it peels on and off. But really, if you just hold it with your finger, that would be fine too. And just make sure you got it the right way around, which it's not. It's that way. Just pop it on and it'll cover the flower up. And then I've got my leaf on the top and the second part of the leaf underneath my block there. I just found this is a quick and easy way to do it. So leaf at the top, coming out the side, and I might do that again. You do find you create a little ridge with your mask, so just make sure it goes, it stamps the image well. And then I'm going to do a little bit at the bottom just so that the leaves are actually poking out from the petals, like that. Whilst my mask is still in place, I pop it back on, I can do the middle. So I've got the other stamp, the middle stamp, because it's a two-step stamp, just like the flower. That's it. And then we just fill in those petals, like that, all the way around. Cute, isn't it? Really hope my head's not getting in the way. Woohoo! You can always fill these leaves in as well with your marker if any bits get left, which is what I've done in the past if I've needed to. I don't know what the weather is like where you are in the world. It's a little bit better here today. We've had some storms overnight. Just a little bit of wind and rain, to be fair. But it's nice to see the sunshine has come out this morning. There we go. And then I think I'll put some more on this one. Oh, let's get it the right way up. That would have been a disaster, wouldn't it? One there. You can use a couple of masks to save you time. Like that. Nearly there now. And that's all the flowery stamping done. There. Let's take those masks off and pop them out of the way. So there we've got that. That's perfect. Now I'm going to put my little bee in. It's a very well loved, well used bee. I've had him use stays on with him and all sorts. I know he's got stained, but he stamps absolutely beautifully every time. A little bit of ink on your stamps won't do them any harm if you can't get it off, so don't fret about it. Right, I'm going to put one right at the bottom, like that one. And I'm going to put another one over here, just flying in like so. There he is. And then I'm actually going to put one up here, but I only want to get the top of him in it, because I'll show you why. On this one, I've added a little 3D bee on the top. And so I fussy cut him out, but I didn't want to have to cut out his little antennae, but I still wanted them to show. So I stamped them on the card underneath. So I'm going to grab a bit of scrap from my scrap bin and show you how I do this. Okay, I'm going to give him a wipe as well. Don't normally use baby wipes on my stamps. Let's use my scrub because I don't like fibres being left behind. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to ink up just the front of him, like that. Now, if you get this on the edge of your stamp, wipe it off, because if you stamp it on your card, you're going to end up where you don't want it to go. Okay, actually, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. So I literally only want his little antennae Don't want the rest of it stamped. Perfect. Lovely. I'm not worried about his wing because that'll get covered up with the actual bee. So, but that's brilliant. Loving that. Good. Okay, let's put him out of the way. Clean him up properly in a minute. Okay. So here comes the fun part. This is where you cut your letters out. Now I'm using the large letters framelets from Stampin' Up. And I chose to write hugs on mine. If you're doing this size card, any kind of 4 or 5 letter word might fit. Just work out the size of your card and how many letters you've got and what you'd like to say. So love, or if it's a Christmas card, I've seen quite a few Noel, or lots of things actually. So just have a think about what you'd like. There's lots of things on Pinterest too. Right, I'm going to colour the bee in before I cut him out with my yellow marker. Just to give him a bit of colour on here, on his body. Very quick little job. And the other one. Such a simple technique, and it looks so effective, this card. Right, so that's that. So I can put my hugs on now. So yeah, I'm going to put this through the big shot, which is just to the side of me and out of shot, I'm afraid, but you'll hear it going through. So I'm just going to line them up and make sure I've got them lined up equally across my card and put them through. I've got my magnetic base plate to hold them in place, which is absolutely perfect. And my well-worn plates. I would recommend the magnetic base plate if anybody is tempted by it. It's perfect if you stamped out small images, not particularly these ones, but small images, and then you have a die that goes around them. Sometimes you get a little bit of movement. And it's so much better than putting a bit of tape in place. I love my magnetic base plate. Right, I'm just lining it up and popping it through. So you don't want wonky letters. Wonky hugs. Right, here goes, going through. Oh, can you hear that crack? That's quite normal, don't worry. Right, here's our hugs. And you'll see how it pops out now. So just be a bit careful when you pull it out because these bits are left behind. You don't want to rip anything. You're left with the aperture, and I'm going to put this on here. You want this to be a contrasting colour, this one behind, to show it up. White would not work as well, so you know, depending on what you're using, black is good, or just any kind of contrast on your white works to give that shadow effect. Okay. Tombow to glue it on. Gives you a bit of room to wriggle it around in place if you don't get it down straight away spot on, which I like a bit of wriggle room. There we are. Make sure you put some on these bits so they stay down. There we go, so that's on. And then we're going to get our letters and pop them out. There we are, hugs. Now, I have been using, to stick mine up on the card, I've been using these double-sided sticky foam strips from Stampin' Up. Now, I'm getting to the end of mine, so I'm going to be a little bit sparing. They've gone on forever though, but I just don't want to run out in the middle of the card. But you know, you put on as much as you need when you do yours. So I'm literally just sticking them along the back of the letters, like that. And I'm going to do it fairly quick because this will be a bit tedious for you to watch, but you'll probably take a little bit more time. And I won't put any in the middle of the H, but pop a little bit in there. Now make sure you put your letters back in the right way up, because that would be a disaster. And then they sit proud just like that. Goes around corners as well, these strips, which is brilliant. You can just pull them, bend them into shape and stick them on. Absolutely what you want. I have used an awful lot. I've made quite a lot of these cards for my swaps. And I only had a little bit in my pack when I started because I'd used them for shaker cards. It's absolutely perfect for shaker cards, these self-adhesive double-sided foam strips. They're brilliant. Nothing can get through and fall out. And you don't have to cut up loads of bits. It's great. Right, let's pop it in. Then the G. Use that bit there. Waste not, want not. See, I'm not worried about how long it is, just give it enough. We all worry too much about things, you know. Right. We're getting there. Hope you're still with me. Thank you if you are. I tend to usually prefer to do short videos because I think it can get a bit boring and tedious, but this just takes slightly a little bit longer. You don't want any of your foam showing. Right, we're at the end of the letters. We're getting there. Let's move that slightly over. Right. Have it the right way up. 2. Oh. Completely stuck to me. I think you can see that foam pad, which you probably wouldn't bother about, but it annoys me. If you know something's wrong, it'll annoy you, won't it? Even if nobody else does. Right. Let's put that back in. There we are. So there's our hugs. Perfect. Now the only thing we need is a little bee up here now. Now I have saved a little bit of time here and done a little tiny bit of stamping on some scrap. So I've got a piece of scrap Whisper White and I've stamped a bee on it and left him to dry. I'm just going to colour him in and I'm going to fussy cut him out. But to be honest, he's such a simple little shape, it's not much work. It's not difficult because I'm not really a fussy cutter, but this isn't a problem. And I'm going to cut off his little antennae, as I've said. Sounds awful, doesn't it? There we go. We're nearly there. I've been making lots of Halloween projects and getting ready for Christmas projects too, so watch out for those coming up on my YouTube. Lots of new products from the Stampin' Up Autumn Winter catalogue. It'll be honest before you know it. It's nice to be prepared. Right. There we are. I've cut him out. That's as good as he needs to be. And I have stamped this one out in vellum as well. Now, I'm not bothered about his body not stamping very well at all because I'm only going to have his wings. I'm going to chop his wings off. Quite barbaric, this one. Let's throw his body away and cut out those little wings. As I say, unless you use Stays On is probably the best to be stamping on the vellum. Whatever you use, make sure you leave it time to dry, because when you pick it up, you're going to end up with it smudging everywhere otherwise. Just give it a few minutes. There we are, almost there. And I'm going to stick these wings on top of our bee. Okay, so I've got my fine tip glue applicator. It's got a little needle that goes in the top to stop it bunging up, which I love. I just put a tiny little line of glue down the base of his wing. That's it. That's all I'm doing. And then I'm going to stick this on to give him a bit of 3D wing movement. Oh, I just stuck my finger in that glue. But it sticks really well. And it'll still go through the post. Absolutely fine. And a little envelope. Right. Yeah, and just give him a bit of a curl. Just put that in there. Okay. And we can pop him on our base. Let's put that out of the way. What have I done with it? Here we go. So much stuff. I seem to have crafted myself into a corner. You ever do that? Okay, right, it's going to go on here like that, and I'm going to use some of these tiny little dimensionals that we've got, these new ones. They're absolutely brilliant because you don't have to cut them up, and they're lovely hexagonal shapes, so they always fit. I love the dimensionals. They're really good. Oh, except for it stuck to me more than the bee. There we go. Gosh, I can hear the wind this morning. Right. And I'm going to pop it on there, on top of those little feelers there. Perfect. Now all I need to do is put it on my card. On my card that way because I had a smudge on it. See, I have a smudge on the front of there from my inky fingers, so I'm going to cover it up. Right, let's put some Tombow on the back. Like that. And again, it gives us a bit of wriggle room when you put it on. If it's not exactly right, you can move it for a few seconds. Lovely. I hope you like the card. I'm just going to stamp on the inside and we'll be done. So I am going to put that little bee on the inside of my card. I'm just going to get my bee stamp inked in that well. There we are. And my sentiment on this one, I think I'm going to put this one, which says thanks for the smile and everything else. Love the sentiments in this stamp set. And I'm going to use it in the Eclipse coral, which is what I did the flowers in. I'm getting very inky. Right. Let's just ink it up. And pop it in the middle. So all the instructions and the products I've used and everything else will be on my blog, which is Inkstampshare.ink. Hope you've liked it. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, so I sell all the products through Stampin' Up. So if you go on my blog, you can go on the link to my shop and you can purchase anything you need if you'd like to. I'd love to in your custom. But yeah, just go over and have a look, get lots of inspiration. I hope you like my card. Thanks for stopping by.